If you are anything like most students, then you struggle with procrastination, staying motivated, and self-disciplined. And now, with this whole coronavirus thing going on, it has been harder than ever before to stay on top of your studies. Everything is suddenly online, and you've been separated from your professors and your colleagues, and that loss of structure and motivation has been devastating to you. What are you supposed to do? My name is Professor Nick, and I help students to crush it at college. Today, I want to talk to you about the power of routine and how you can use your brain's basal ganglia, the habit center, to program yourself to get something done instead of having to force yourself to do it. If you're interested in this topic or others just like it, be sure to subscribe and stay notified so you don't miss anything. I am super committed to helping you get the most out of your online classes.
All right, so I want to begin this video by encouraging you to help out with the coronavirus, and one of the best ways you can do that is to donate to the CDC Foundation. They are using your donations for medical supplies, personal protective equipment, lab capacity, and all kinds of other stuff. And Facebook is going to double your donation up to $10 million. So even a small contribution of just a few dollars could help out a lot. You could be saving someone's life in doing this. With that out of the way, let's jump here into the video, guys. So habits, let's talk about them. There is this book here, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, and he breaks down just how powerful habits are and how you can go about modifying them to get more out of your life. So the habit is embedded deeply in your brain in this thing called the basal ganglia, which functions very different from most of your brain activity. So they found something very fascinating. There was a man who had suffered brain damage from encephalitis, and they found that when they asked him to point to the kitchen, he couldn't do it. He didn't know where his own kitchen was. But when they asked him, what would you do if you got hungry? He gets up, walks into the kitchen, opens the cabinet, pulls out a jar of nuts, and starts eating it. So the habit is just deeply embedded in your brain. You do it unconsciously and automatically. So one of the questions I get from students is, how do I force myself to study? How do I make myself do it? I think that's the wrong way to go about it. I think you need to build a routine and use the power of habit to just not have to force yourself to do it. You just automatically go and execute it unconsciously because you built it deep in your basal ganglia of the brain. So when you were first learning something, like say learning how to drive, you have to do everything very manually and very consciously, turning the key, putting your hands on the thing, putting your foot on the brake, switching gears, looking at the windows, all that stuff. But after a while, you sequence those actions because you've done them so many times. You have chunked that sequence of actions, and now it gets executed unconsciously. So this happens for good habits and bad habits. Let's talk a little bit here about the habit loop. 3 parts here to any habit. You have the cue, the routine, and the reward. The cue is that inciting incident or event, the trigger that causes the person to do the routine. This is the habit itself, and then the reward, the aftermath. So looking at cues, rewards, and routines here, say we take smoking a cigarette, for example. The cue, this could be seeing someone else smoke a cigarette. This could be that you are used to smoking at the same time. So when you walk out the door of your workplace, you go and you reach for a cigarette unconsciously. You are going to swap out the routine if you want to change that habit. So if you want to quit smoking, every time you get the cue, don't resist the urge. Instead, redirect that energy to something else. So maybe now you chew a piece of nicotine gum, or you do 10 push-ups or something. So you swap out the routine there. The reward is also powerful. So by making rewards stronger or weaker, you can influence the power of that habit. So for example, Pepsodent is a type of toothpaste, and this got really, really popular when they put something in there that made the toothpaste tingle and have a minty flavor to it. So now consumers were conditioned to expect that reward and way more wired to continue using that toothpaste, right? So let's talk about studying for a second. Setting up cues is critical. So you might do this a few different ways. I like to use tasks like Asana. This thing here in Asana, you put your tasks here, they get listed, and it tells you if it's due today, tomorrow, or whenever, and it uses the color code there. So now you know exactly when it's due, and you're used to that trigger. So you have to build the habit of using Asana itself. Another thing that's very powerful is doing something on your homepage, your new tab. So my new tab opens to Musical.ly, which shows me design work. So it can make it very easy for me to scroll through design work and embed that into my task flow, right? This also goes the other way around though, that if you automatically pull up Instagram because it's on your home screen, maybe move Instagram to another part of your phone that you don't access as much. Put a little distance between you and that cue. It goes a very long way, I promise. And likewise, maybe you schedule something into your calendar, put a reminder in the calendar to study at the same time every day. Your brain thrives on that routine and it expects you to do that and then to get a certain reward. So maybe you reward yourself after every 2-hour study session with a cookie or watching your favorite TV show or something. So reward here. So you can modify the habit doing any of these 3 things. This is insanely powerful, you guys. Take advantage of this. I highly encourage you to set this up to the best of your ability. Now, this might be a little bit vague if you don't know what your cues and rewards are. So I would challenge you to really monitor yourself. What cues you to a certain behavior? How can you set up cues to get yourself doing that routine more of studying? And then what kind of rewards can you give to yourself so that you are way more likely to do that over and over again? I would highly encourage you to send me a DM. I reply to all direct messages on Instagram. Please reach out to me on Instagram. I would love to hear your question and I would love to help you out so you can get the most out of your online studies. That's all I got for you here today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Please consider donating to the CDC Foundation. Send me your question on Instagram. Drop me a comment. I would love to hear how you are planning to get the most out of your online studies. And this is Professor Nick signing off, and I will see you next time.